Hey everybody, I'm James Melzer for MovieWeb, and today I am sitting down with the uniquely talented, amazing actor, drummer, stuntman, surfer, and all-around cool dude, Christophe Zajac-Denek, who stars alongside Jesse Eisenberg and Riley Keough in the new film Sasquatch Sunset that debuts in theaters on April 12th. Christophe, how you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so stoked to be here.
All right, man. I really appreciate your time. I want to get to Sasquatch Sunset in just a second. But before I do, I have to ask this because I loved your performance in Twin Peaks in
Oh,
2017
great.
as Ike the Spike. And I just have to ask, what was it like to be directed by David Lynch? Because you hear all these stories about him. He's this eccentric filmmaker, kind of mysterious. Chat me up. What was it like to work with him on Twin Peaks?
He is amazing, honestly. He's he's really laid back. He's really chill and easy to work with. I don't really get so starstruck, but I was definitely nervous to show up on set, and it was a perfect scenario for me because I had worked with my friend Nancy, who was the wardrobe supervisor on Twin Peaks, and I worked with her like a dozen years before on something, and she sneakily found out that I was going to be there, and when we went over to set, she got me all dressed up in Ike's gear, and we hopped out of the van, and she took my hand and she walked me over hand in hand to meet David, and he just saw me and he got this smile on his face and he said, "Ike." And after that I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And I mean he's so great. It's amazing to watch him work because he has this direction, and the ship is going in this direction, and then something will change, or there'll be something that needs to change, and he's like, "Okay, we're going this way now," and everyone just we all go along, and it's beautiful. It was such an incredible experience.
He's like the Pied Piper, just sort of leading everyone in the
I'm so
direction.
grateful, man. Like honestly, he's unlike anybody that I've really worked with, and yeah, yeah. He yelled at me a couple of times, not like out of anger, but out of like encouragement, and I feel like it got me like in the stabbing scenes. I'd never done that before, honestly, and yeah, he was definitely yelling encouragement to me from around the corner by um yeah, by Video Village.
Oh, I love it, man. All
Yeah.
right, Sasquatch Sunset. I gotta add, the film is described, it's a year in the life of a unique family. And
Hmm.
it's truly a unique family because you're all Sasquatches. How did this part come your way? Did the Zellner sort of already have you in mind for the project, or did you have to go through like a general audition? Talk to me about what the process was like when you were first getting started.
So my agent sent me the email, the request, and I don't know that they I've worked on a bunch of episodes of Jimmy Kimmel Live, and I know
Mhm.
that they're friends with Andy at Jimmy Kimmel Live, and so I think Andy may have. I don't know if that was before or after they had found me through my agent, but I know Andy kind of like said that I was okay to work with, and yeah, I it seemed like just a regular audition as to how it came through. My agent said, somebody wants to, they're inquiring, and yeah, and so I don't remember if they sent me like a part of the script or some of the script, but they sent the lookbook. And as soon as I saw the lookbook, and as soon as I read whatever they read me, I'm like, I I'm gonna work so hard to not get my hopes up, because if I don't get this, I just need to forget about it. And I mean that's the truth. I wanted it so badly. I was so stoked to get called. And then we did the audition. Essentially was a conversation, just the three of us, uh, David, Nathan, and myself. And I felt like I felt like I understood what they were going for. I felt like I understood the tone, and it sounds like on their end that's really what they wanted, was somebody who understood that it's supposed to be played as true as possible. The Sasquatch doesn't know that they're absurd.
Right.
We as humans project the absurdity onto what we see. And so and I 100%. Sign me up every time. I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the you mentioned the lookbook. Was that filled with like concept art and things like that? What was in the lookbook?
No, they had actually, I think Jesse had already been, because Jesse was the first one that was signed on. And I think Nathan also went through life casting,
Mhm.
and they had already made the the prosthetic molds and the creature, the costume molds. So they sent me photos of Nathan and Jesse, and I was like, oh yes, that's super cool. And then of course, like the background for the lookbook is all, redwoods and trees and landscapes up there, and I'm like, yes, of course, this is. So it was probably like 5 or 6 pages, and it talked about like what the Sasquatches do, and why we're making the movie because we
Right.
have to, and yeah,
I
that's
heard
really
you
cool.
guys all went through like Sasquatch School or ape camp to sort of get into character and learn about Sasquatches. Was there a I guess a Bigfoot expert or a mammal expert that was brought in to sort of, help you guys with all that? Explain to me what the Sasquatch School was.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, David and Nathan are both just encyclopedias of knowledge about Sasquatch and Bigfoot and apes and all things furry and big feet that go bumping in the woods. Um, so they came with a lot of information, and even after I booked it, and when we started to talk about how to approach the movements and the mannerisms and the walk and the vocalization and stuff, they sent me, I mean, a dozen videos of apes, and maybe more than that, just of they really wanted. We know how to be the human side of the Sasquatch because we're
Mhm.
walking around all the time. They really wanted us to get comfortable with more of the ape-like, and incorporating more of the ape-like movements in our acting, and even practicing on a daily basis. Um, so that was some groundwork, and then um, Jesse had worked with Lauren Eric Salam uh, prior, and so Jesse he's a movement coach that was trained by Marcel Marceau. Like the guy
Oh,
is just
wow.
a
Okay.
movement genius. And so he came on. We did a couple Zoom calls with him, and then he also came up to Eureka and um, taught us how to eat berries and arugula and carry sticks around an office building, um, which was I don't know if I've had more fun in my life. Like that was so much fun, just kind of destroying an office room in a building. Yeah, it was
It's
great.
like one of those smash rooms that you can go in and vent out your frustrations.
Honestly, like it was just like, okay, pick that stick up and carry it over there, and and then carry it back. It was amazing. It was so much fun, so weird, and so yeah, it's so great.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Now, you've been around Hollywood for, gosh, man, it's got to be like at least 20 years now. You
15,
started
yeah, getting close.
15? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Your
yep.
first role was like, I think it was Dead Undead, something like that.
Oh my God, holy
Man,
cow! That
that was,
wasn't in Hollywood, man.
oh,
That was in Michigan,
that's right.
where I'm from. Yeah.
Now, okay, so you've been cast though in a lot of roles that require prosthetics and makeup, and obviously as a Sasquatch, there's a lot that's involved in this film. So, how difficult was the process for Sasquatch Sunset, and where would you say that it ranks, compared to some of the other prosthetic and makeup work that you did? Because you not only had the not like the face, you had the bodysuit and everything. So what was
Yeah.
that like for this?
Yeah, this is probably the most this is the most superlatives of all of them. Like this one is the highest quality prosthetics for sure. The most emotive,
Mhm.
I've done a lot of stuff where, I mean, a lot of times that I've worked, it's my face isn't even, the foam is in front of my
Right.
face, so nothing is even coming through. And then I've also had a ton of stuff glued, to my head and my face. Um, this was the highest quality prosthetics, and then also the most I had to emote through the most amount of prosthetics, and I think that was the biggest challenge. Is to Jesse's mentioned it, where when you're acting for film, it's you want to be subtle. There's so much that's said through the eyes and subtle movements, you can't be subtle. You can't be as subtle with all the prosthetics and glue and paint and
Mm.
everything on your face. So you had to kind of, it felt hammy, it felt like too much to be doing what we were doing, but that's um what you really needed to do. And we had to kind of like, I had to like learn how to isolate different muscles on my face to move certain parts of the prosthetics and stuff like
Right.
that. Um,
Yeah,
so
we hear those stories where, like comparing film to theater, where in theater they want you to go big and go over the top and go large, but when you're in film, you got to tone it down.
yep,
So it's almost like you had to find that balance between the two.
finding the balance. Yeah, they would call cut, and I'd say, "Was it? Are you going to use that? Was that okay?" And they're like, "No, no, no, that's great." You can't tell as an actor what is with all that on. At least at the first week,
Mhm.
we kind of got the feel of it, going forward. But yeah, that was challenging.
Nice. You mentioned emotions and stuff like that earlier, so I want to ask about the script, because I'm curious. Were there lines of dialogue in the script that you then had to translate to nonverbal communication? Like, was it written, young Sasquatch, mommy, I'm hungry, and then you had to convey that through your emotions, or was it all just stage direction, the entire script?
It was there definitely was no dialogue. There was no inner monologue or
Mhm.
dialogue at all in the script. The scenes were beautifully illustrated, like it
Mhm.
was um written like what was going to happen. A part of the Sasquatch boot camp was actually working out our vocalizations and how there is communication even though there is no dialogue in the film. And so having the ability to communicate what grunts, which howls, which barks, like you would use in certain situations. There's like there's some tragic scenes where you probably wouldn't be you know expressing anger or
Right.
pleasure or something like that. So figuring out what was the balance between ape and human and then right for the scene. um it wasn't there was some kind of stage direction because I think like I said, the script was so beautifully written, and it was not confusing. It was very plain. I mean, I think even in the script David wrote a couple times like, this is happening, this is all these things are happening, it's ridiculous, you know what I mean? Like he actually like, so your mind is like, okay, this is not inhibited at all, we're just, it's completely off the rails right now as
Right.
from a human standpoint. um and then in the moment, like with the Sasquatch boot camp was so helpful to figure out all of the vocalizations, but we also were really really collaborative, and
Mm.
and David and Nathan, I think that it was so great because they encouraged so much of the collaboration, and they, whenever we came up with an idea of something that we thought could work, um, they were always receptive, and a lot of times it ended up in the scene.
Nice, nice. So obviously, the shoot itself had to be challenging. You're in the heat, you're in the cold, you're weighed down with prosthetics and makeup and everything like that. So just hearing you talking, though, I mean, I assume that yourself, Jesse and Riley and Nathan and David, you guys managed to at least have some fun along the way. Because I can imagine there were times that you just couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all, dressed as Sasquatches out there.
Absolutely. I mean, the it got normalized, I think, relatively quickly. But I mean, the jokes were just. I mean, I don't know. I haven't laughed harder on a set. It it was just constantly absurd. I have a photograph of from my trail, like out looking outside of my door, and Nathan and Riley have scripts in their hands, full head of Sasquatch makeup with the tops pulled down, so they just have like their athletic wear, like what we wore underneath,
Right.
and they're both like critically looking at the script, and it's just the two of them, two-thirds of the way done up, and I mean, it was just hilarious and ridiculous all the time. There was another photo. I tried to unlock my phone with the with the facial
Oh,
recognition thing. And so I took a photo of it saying like, there's something obstructing your face. Like cannot
that's
cannot
awesome.
open your phone with facial recognition. Yeah, I mean every day you can't eat. Eating lunch is like you're holding up hair and like I ate in a mirror half the time because I couldn't find my mouth. So just like all the stuff, it was only ridiculous. And then, we're grooming each other. We have to groom each other in the scene, but then we're like pulling sticks out of each other's like hair on our everywhere, it's just
Was
so
it
ridiculous.
were there moments where, I mean, you were Nathan is in the movie and he was co-director as well, so there were you like in a scene at certain points and he'd just be like, guys, I think we should do it like this in full Sasquatch makeup instead?
All of us did that.
Okay.
All of us, like we all had those head scratching moments of like, yeah, I think I'm gonna poop over here instead of over there. Like those were like regular. And then the penises too. Like it was a regular thing to like have to adjust like the penises because they were just like all over the place all the time. And they just
Well,
needed.
Riley didn't have that problem.
Right. No, she had other situations going on. But yeah, that was the prosthetic penises were something else too.
If you had asked me this morning when I woke up that I'd be talking about Sasquatch
Sasquatch,
penises, I wouldn't
yeah.
have believed you.
Man, your day is just getting
Oh
better and
man,
better.
this is awesome. All right, Christophe, man, I really appreciate it. Sasquatch Sunset in theaters April 12th. What is next for you after this? I know you got a couple projects in the works, but what can we expect to see you in next?
Yeah, there's a couple projects. I worked on a little independent project called Astral Plane Drifter, which is
Mhm.
kind of like a 60s, 70s psychedelic desert trip that's out. It's kind of going to be like a throwback to kind of that time period of movies. And then a buddy of mine, Matteo Messina, is putting together this musical treatment with like choreography and stuff like that. And so I'm actually going to be doing some drumming. So yeah.
Oh, okay, nice, nice. Just out of curiosity, Astral Plane Drifter, didn't that start off as a short film? I seem to remember hearing about that.
Yeah, it went around the circuit. Yeah, it did. It went to a lot of film festivals. Like it went to a ton of film festivals, like 80, 100. I don't know. It was I saw I saw his poster at it because we went to his house, to Mike's house, and like he has a poster. I don't know if it's all of the laurels, but the poster is it's only laurels.
Oh, okay.
It's crazy. Yeah.
All right, yeah. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
That's cool that you know about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a fan of short films. I tend to watch a lot of them when I
Okay.
can, so yeah, I remember hearing about that. One more question before you go. I have to
Yep.
ask this. I'm sure you get asked this a lot, given the nature of the film, but my wife got me hooked on a show called Expedition Bigfoot on Discovery Channel a couple years ago.
Okay.
And for me, watching that show as they sort of hunt Sasquatch in different areas of the country, I've kind of become a believer. Do you believe in Sasquatch and Bigfoot?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a film about it here. Like you have to. I think yeah. I mean, I've believed in it since I was a kid, right? Like ever since the Patterson Gimlin film. Like how could how could it not? Like if I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I
Seems
have
so
I ha
real.
I have a tendency to believe in like paranormal, like ghosts and stuff like that. But for
Yeah.
some reason, Bigfoot was a bit of a stretch. But now I'm a believer, and I'm reading up on Bigfoot and Mothman and all these crazy cryptids, and I can't wait to see Sasquatch Sunset, man.
Oh man, I'm stoked for you to see it as well.
All right, Christoph, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for everything. Congrats on the success with the movie, and I look forward to seeing what you're up to in the future.
Thank you, James. This was a pleasure. Appreciate it.